Hello and welcome to Elseworlds, a DC fan podcast. My name is Jordan, and with me, discussing his first watch of Smallville, Season 8. Chris, how are you take, Chris?
Oh, somebody save me. We're talking about season 8 here. Yeah, I'm good. I like talking about Smallville. I haven't done it in a while.
Yeah, one, you would kind of slow down a bit with school and all that.
It's
Then we
my
also
fault.
had, no, we also had a very busy fall with Superman and Lois, the Penguin,
Mhm.
Creature Commandos, like back
Yeah,
to back to back. It was very tough to do that. So we are here now discussing Smallville season 8, and let's dive in because
yeah.
I'm really curious on your thoughts of the season because I think this is one of the ones that slowed you down. But um,
Actually, I was going to say it's Smallville's fault that I slowed down because, all right, you start this season, season 8, and you had that awesome cliffhanger at the end of season 7 with Lex doing what he has to do at the Fortress of Solitude, and you see everything crashing down. You're like super excited. This is the age of streaming. I don't have to wait till next year. I'm watching it right. Oh, okay. That was they can't find Lex. Lex is now not part of the show. He's like baked into the DNA of the show. He's not part of it anymore. And um, it's just you got to get used to Tess, who I ended up really liking as a character, but I was like, okay, what are they doing here? It's just a weird, depowered Clark at the beginning in a foreign country. It was like, well, okay. It seemed very Batman Begins. Um, I don't know. Chloe had this weird storyline going on. I wasn't feeling the beginning of season 8. I found that I like season 8 about halfway through.
okay,
And I still think season 8's not my favorite season, but it sets up maybe season 9 and 10 might be two of my 5 favorite seasons.
okay.
So, season 9 and 10, I think are going to be more fun to talk about.
Okay, well, let's talk about some of the big changes that happen in season 8. Like you mentioned, there's no more Lex, there's no more Kristen Crook, right? There is Laura Vandervoort disappears. John Glover leaves the show. Of course, in season 7 he did, but and also show creators Alfred Goff and Miles Millar departed the series. So then Kelly Souders and Brian Peterson, I think, took over as the showrunners at that point. But we also get the introduction of Tess by Cassidy Freeman. We get Sam Witwer in as Davis Bloom, and we have Justin Hartley return to the show, this time as a series regular, as Oliver Queen. So let's kind of start with
That's the
those.
best part of that. Oliver Queen's the best part of season 8. Being a season regular,
Mhm.
a series regular, that's the best part. He is my favorite um part of the end of Smallville.
Yeah, I mean, he's great, right? Like he is um
Very fleshed out. He's not perfect. He's kind of an asshole. He's kind of really good too. So there's a lot to go with him. And then he's got that great backstory with Tess. Um,
yeah, that's
and,
explained in this season. Yeah.
yeah. So I mean that really is what kept me on the line when I'm like, you know what, I'm missing these. I'm missing the Lex Luthor. Um, I'm missing the Lex Luthor's Clark conversations where Lex is just like, all right, you should just start with the accusations, or something like that. I'm missing Clark and Lex yelling at each other or trying to sneak around each other, something like that. Or even the Lionel Luthor Lex Luthor dynamic. there's so many dynamics that change when Lex isn't there because Michael Rosenbaum is so charismatic. I mean, we're talking about him as like our favorite Lex. And then he's just gone. It's like, damn.
Yeah.
I really had a hard time losing Lex.
Yeah, it is tough to lose him. I will say I went into this season when I first watched it as like oh man, without Lex, how are they going to do this? And I'll say I actually probably enjoy season 8 more than most people. I like the way they did Doomsday because I think Sam Witwer is really good as Davis Bloom. And I you know, I just thought that it worked for a show of the CW's budget at the time to be able to do Doomsday. Obviously, they're not going to be able to do what we just saw in Superman and Lois. You know, technology has come a long way in the last, almost 15 years since the
I
season was
did
around.
I did not have a problem with Doomsday's appearance. I was actually thinking it was good for the CW. I didn't have a problem with that. Um, the storyline of Doomsday was a little, and it fell flat at the end for me.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was not fun at the end for me. I was like, all right, he, I, I wanted it to be more than just Doomsday pushes Clark and he flies off out of the picture, and then like
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, so we also had Lana did appear again around the time of the wedding, right? Which is when uh, Davis kidnaps Chloe.
And I felt bad for Chloe in this season because
Mm-hmm.
I feel like she was put in between a rock and a hard place, or a doom and a hard place, if you will. Because she, I think she genuinely cared for Davis, and I think she genuinely thought she was doing the right thing, but she wasn't doing what she wanted to do. She was doing what she thought she had to do, and alienating her friends in doing it. So I felt really bad for Chloe in this because I don't know what they wanted her to do. She couldn't win.
And she ends up losing Jimmy, right?
That was
At the
my
end of the
least.
season.
That was my least favorite thing about the ending of that, though, because it's like you didn't have to kill Jimmy off.
How about the
Like,
reveal that it's not it's not Jimmy.
oh,
It's
okay.
Henry James Olsen. And his brother is Jimmy.
All right. This is when I'm like, Smallville, you're getting too cute. I don't like it. I don't like that. I don't like that at all. Especially because this is one of my favorite Jimmys. I mean, you know, he has all the characteristics. He says CK.
For
Uh,
all intents and purposes, he's Jimmy Olsen, right?
exactly. Yeah. And we we got to care for the character, and his brother just like is the screw off. Uh,
This, it is a little cheap. It is their way of having their cake and eating it as well, right? Because they got to kill off Jimmy Olsen for the ratings and for the look. We had a character death, but it's a way that they almost undo it. For the when we get to season 10 and near the end, and we see flash forwards and stuff, and he looks just like his brother, all grown up, but it's a way to still have Jimmy Olsen. It's a
it's
very
amazing that we spend all that time with Jimmy. He never mentions he has a brother that is an identical twin
with the same
that
name.
so
He goes,
stupid.
how confusing is that in the family? I go by Jimmy. My brother goes by Jimmy as well.
It's so stupid. It's just so stupid. Like no mom or dad would allow this chaos to happen.
Right.
I mean, the closest I could think about is like TJ and JJ Watt, but
Yeah,
it's
true.
not. But that's not even that confusing. So
All right, well, let's talk about Tess. How about Tess? I think Cassie Freeman does a really good job in this season as being a good antagonist and very interesting character to fill in the whole Left by Lex. I think.
yeah, you don't know if she's good. You don't know if she's bad. You there's a lot. There's a lot you learn about Tess the next 8, 9, and 10, 3 seasons. Um, I really like this character because it adds something to it because it's someone who has a deep storyline that connects with the team in a way that isn't from Smallville, wasn't a Crow, wasn't, you know, doesn't have all these times where Clark fooled them. It's a completely different dynamic. And it comes more of Oliver's world too. And so it's kind of the perfect character to put in when you're bridging to a show where it's more about Metropolis, more about the Daily Planet, um, less Smallville focused. Smallville. I swear they should have changed the name to
It
Metropolis. It would
was
have been
a
fine.
but I will say it was a really good pivot at this time because
Hmm.
it would have been ridiculous to have him still just making saves in Smallville at this age.
Yeah,
Like I really and getting more of the daily play. It was pretty much Superman and all, but the costume and name, right? Like
yeah, it really was.
at a certain
He
point,
couldn't fly. That's
right?
about it.
That was it.
And his couldn't fly was stretching further and further to basically flying.
I like the way they did it though, where it's like almost like a mental block because he's
Yeah,
afraid of it, and not like whenever he's possessed, like in season 4 when he's just Cal, right? He's able to fly,
yeah,
and stuff like that. But like when he's Clark, it's like this mental hang up he has in his head of, oh, I can't do it until he absolutely needed to, which we'll talk about in a couple weeks. But
yeah, we will. And I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, Tessa's a good character. Probably I'm gonna say the finest lady on the show. My goodness. But no, I really liked the dynamic she brought in. But I was a little uneasy at first because I'm like, this is what they're replacing Lex with.
mhm.
I it was like, is she really replacing Lex or are they going for something completely different? And once I figured out what they were doing, I was like, okay, I'm here.
Yeah,
But in the beginning, I was like, this can't just be like Rosa Bob's replacement.
no, um, but yeah, no, she's great. Okay, let's talk about some of the guest stars that show up in this season because there's some, right? We had Plastique. We kind of mentioned that in I think the season 7 discussion because
Hmm.
we started talking about Jessica Parker Kennedy coming in to be Plastique, but we also had uh the Legion come
Yeah,
in for the
this is
show.
a big part. This is I like the way they did the Legion. The Legion of Superheroes is this fun little pocket that I
Yes.
didn't really know about anything about until I watched Supergirl actually.
Yeah. Yeah, that's where
And
they really.
and now I'm a little more familiar with the comics a bit, but dude, the Legion, I thought they did them perfect. Like that was really well done, and the ring looks so cool. Like the Legion ring looks really awesome on
Yeah.
the Smallville. Like I want a Legion ring. You know,
Yeah, no,
that's
I mean,
pretty cool.
yeah, it was great to have the Legion in this. I think it's cool. They come in um and show up to save him uh because they're worried about like the future. And there's kind of hints here where like look, Chloe is kind of this only character that we don't that's not really based off something previous, right? And
Right.
there's almost hints that they want to like kill her off or that she'd become somebody else because like the Legion is like we don't know anything about a Chloe, right?
Right.
Like she's not in the history books.
And they play around with that the whole series, I feel like.
Yeah.
But I like they really play around with Chloe. I think they miss like they could have made her evil. Um, After the Brainiac thing, it would have been really easy to do.
Well, I'm glad they didn't.
I
I would not
know,
have liked that.
but well, it's funny because it's funny because when you look at Arrow and Felicity and like the calculator daughter storyline, like I wonder if that had something to do with the Chloe like of it all. But um, I I don't know. I really like Chloe's character, and they did a really good job with it. But they played around with her. You never really felt comfortable with like her place in the show after she knows the secret of Clark and she's part of the team. I thought Watchtower was an interesting concept, though.
Yeah. We also got introduced to Zatanna,
Oh my goodness.
played
Hmm.
by Serinda Swan. Um, and this was in the episode Hex, where she grants Chloe's wish to have Lois's life, and as a result, Chloe wakes up in Lois's body. This is a very like Freaky Friday.
This was a fun episode. This is
It
one of
is
my
fun.
favorite. It's one of my favorite episodes because Clark also doesn't still has his powers, but he doesn't. He's just a normal guy. He thinks he's just a normal guy.
Yeah, because he
I,
inadvertently wishes to have a normal life, which
yeah,
deprives him of the knowledge of his abilities. Yeah.
right. Which that's a fun aspect as well, and that's something Clark has been playing with a lot in the series. He just wants to be normal.
Isn't there
Yeah,
like a scene where Oliver's like hinting that he is somebody and he's like just totally oblivious to it?
yeah, yeah. And then there's another scene where they they need him to open the door, and he's like, "It's locked."
Yeah.
and like he just matter of factly is like, "It's locked." And one of my top 5 moments, maybe it's maybe not, but like it was a lot of fun. Like I enjoyed Tom Welling playing basically just Clark Kent without any of the Superman stuff.
Yeah.
It was interesting. It was insightful to like his psyche. So I love this episode, and I'd let Zatanna ruin my life. So I
She comes back as well,
yeah,
so
yeah,
that's good.
yeah. She's allowed back at the show anytime she wants. But
We also
yeah,
had the Legion returned at the end, and they informed Clark that Doomsday will kill him, and they give him a new Legion ring to try to transport Doomsday to the future. Instead, Clark is going to try to use the black kryptonite to split Davis from Doomsday, and tries to bury him a mile underground. But Jimmy ends up getting killed and also impaling Davis at the same time. But then it teases that Tess releases Zod, and that's kind of a big hint on where season 9 goes, which is constantly ranked in as one of the best seasons of the show, season 9. So
it might be my favorite.
it's pretty good. It's pretty
Season
good, and
9
I
might be
can't wait. I can't wait to talk about it because there's a 2-parter there that is one of my favorite episodes.
Yeah. One of the things I'm looking forward to is when we're done our first watch updates, having an episode where we talk our top 10 episodes.
Yeah.
And because that's gonna to me that's gonna be the most fun show we do in a while. Like I'm looking forward to that.
What we should also do is I should see if there's like a tier list for the Smallville episodes, and
Hmm.
we'd be able to put maybe some of them, or maybe do season tier list, something like
And
that.
if we're getting really selfish for content, we can do like a tier list for all the or a ranking of all the one-off villains for the earlier
That's what I was
seasons.
thinking too. Actually, I did think
Yeah,
about that.
because that would be a lot of fun. That Anthony from Digging for Kryptonite did the Trials of Smallville, and he talked about the villains, and in two parts, like the big ones, and then kind of the one-offs. And I think I had a lot of fun with the one-offs in the
Yeah, like
beginning.
Bug Boy and all them.
Yeah, stuff like that. So first off, really recommend you guys listen to Anthony's Thinking for Kryptonite show. Trials of Smallville were great. But yeah, I'm like, man, villains. We talk about villains in 2 episodes. So they're like, wow, we're taking 2 episodes to do it. I was like, you could have taken 5.
Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot. This show, was what 218 episodes or something. There's a lot there. But no, really excited to discuss season 9 with you because I think while I think I like original Smallville the best, there's still a charm to these later seasons because of the Daily Planet, because of Metropolis, getting to see like Justice, right? When we see that episode and we have Impulse and we have Cyborg and we have, Green Arrow and Aquaman. And then how those characters pop up throughout a lot. Then you start adding in people like Zatanna. In season 10, you add in Booster and Blue Beetle, right? You have all of these DC characters, the Legion, that start getting added into the JSA, into these episodes to kind of have like a big mid-season episode or whatever. And you get villains like Doomsday, like Zod, and like Darkseid, right? Like, so you get some of these bigger villains. And I know some people will pull the whole, well, by the time he becomes Superman, he's already faced some of his biggest
It's a
adversaries.
problem. It's a bit of a problem for me, but at the same time,
It's a different universe.
Exactly what I was about to say. Like at the same time, it's like, it's a Superman property. Let them do Superman things. I would say that season 9 is the best because I think Zod is my favorite villain in this in here. Like before season 9, it would have been Brainiac. But would have been the Milton Fine, Brainiac stuff, and Zod really stole the show in season 9. I was like, this is freaking fantastic. Like it was soap opera. It was really good. So yeah, season 8, I think had some charm to it, but I'm trying to think what episode I got hooked back in. It might have been episode 10, Bride. When you have all of the drama with Jimmy and Davis and
you have that episode and then Legion right after that. That's
a
good 1-2 punch to get you back in.
Yeah, so I want to say it took halfway through, but about halfway through. It's the first few episodes. There's some episodes at the beginning of here that just seemed like a waste of time to me. Like and I'm looking back at it, I'm like, none of them were actually that bad, but interesting. I did. I went weeks without watching Smallville, and I was watching it every night. It definitely was a switch.
Well, yeah. So we'll discuss season 9 next time. This Christmas season as well, I watched the Lexmas from season 5 as we were. I was like, let me watch a Christmas episode of Smallville, and I also watched Man with the Yellow Tie, the Man with the Yellow Suit. Sorry, from The Flash, because that's a Christmas episode as well. So that was what I watched this Christmas.
It happens to be my favorite episode of The Flash. Actually, my second favorite episode of The Flash. Enter Flash Time was my favorite, but my Lexmas is spoiler alert, a top 10 episode for me.
Nice.
I'm not going to give too many of the list, but that's on there.
Yeah, we'll discuss it after season 10, and then we'll also try to dive into some of the season 11 comic books. I'm just trying to figure out the best way to do it because Like, do we do it arc by arc for those? Or do
I think
we?
arc by arc would probably be the best way to
Yeah,
do
I
it.
think so too. It'd be a lot more justice for it than discussing it all at once. So,
I agree.
all right. Well, that'll wrap us up here. Next week or so, you'll probably hear our Smallville season 9 discussion. But thank you all for following along with us at elseworldsdcfan on all of our social medias, elseworldsdcfan@gmail.com for long form emails. Have a great rest of your week. We'll catch you next time.